up the recording there for the Wednesday Sangha call. It is the 24th of May. And so Scott's out on Alps. He's out snowboarding. So just kind of doing a little, taking over for a little bit, doing a little, gonna read a sutta. So actually, the one that I picked out today to read is the Anapanasati Sutta. So that should be quite fun to read and hopefully insightful. Yeah. So I'm going to read the Bhikkhu Bodhi translation. You can find it on Sutta Central. It's Majjhima Nikaya 118, mindfulness of breathing. And again, my pronunciation might be a little off on these, but we'll see. There goes through a lot of names in the beginning when it comes to the introductory section. It's just kind of like hyping up what the Buddha is about to lay down with the Anapanasati practice with mindfulness of in and out breathing, or remembering in and out breathing. So let's start it off. So the introductory section. Thus I have heard on one occasion, the Blessed One was living in Savatthi in the Eastern Park, in a palace of Marjuna's mother, together with many very well-known elder disciples, the Venerable Sariputta, the Venerable Mahamoggallana, the Venerable Mahakassapa, the Venerable Mahakachana, the Venerable Mahakatati, the Venerable Mahakapina, the Venerable Mahakanda, the Venerable Arnudara, the Venerable Ravata, the Venerable Ananda, and other very well-known elder disciples. Again, kind of messed around with the pronunciation a little bit there, but the main idea is that there's a lot of folks showing up to this gathering. It's a big event. So, now on the occasion, elder bhikkhus had been teaching and instructing new bhikkhus. Some elder bhikkhus had been teaching and instructing 10 bhikkhus. Some elder bhikkhus have been in teaching and instructing 20, 30, 40 bhikkhus. And the new bhikkhus taught and instructed the elder bhikkhus had achieved successful stages of high distinction. So it's kind of laying out, again, with the groups here, that there's a lot of teaching going on, and that these are actually, people who are fairly established within their skills. Okay. On that occasion, the Upasthaya day of the 15th, on the full moon, right of the Pravana cemetery, or ceremony, the Blessed One was seated in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of bhikkhus. Then, surveying the silent Sangha of bhikkhus, he addressed them thus. Bhikkhus, I am content with this progress. My mind is content with this progress. So arose still more energy to attain the unattained, to achieve the unachievable, to realize the unrealized. I shall wait here in Savatthi for the Kunda full moon of the 4th month. Yeah, so this is kind of like on the Sabbath, if I'm gathering correctly, right? So this is kind of again, it's sort of an event, a place where they can really kind of get together and sort of gather for a time-wise thing here. And also with that too, it's sort of, again, this hyping up, like, hey, we're laying down some useful information here, rouse that energy, get it going. All right. The bhikkhus of the countryside heard the Blessed One will wait there at Savatthi for the full moon of the 4th moon, and the bhikkhus of the countryside left in due course for Savatthi to see the Blessed One. The elder bhikkhus still more intensively taught and instructed the new bhikkhus. Some elder bhikkhus taught and instructed, 40 or 10 bhikkhus, yeah, okay. I think I would just cover that. Yeah. On that occasion, actually I lost my place there. There we go. Bhikkhus. This assembly is free from prattle. This assembly is free from chatter. It consists purely of heartwood. Such is this Sangha of bhikkhus. Such is this assembly. Such is an assembly worthy of gifts, of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, an incomparable field of merit for the world. Such is this Sangha of bhikkhus, such is this assembly, such an assembly that a small gift given to becomes a great gift, or becomes a great gift greater. Such is this Sangha of bhikkhus. Such is this assembly. Such is an assembly as is rare for the world to see. Such is the Sangha of bhikkhus. Such is this assembly. Such is an assembly that would be worth journeying many leagues with travel bags to see. Such is the Sangha of bhikkhus. Such is this assembly. And again, I keep kind of going back to this whole hyping up thing, but that really is sort of it. But also with it, it is showing like, hey, like this is really like worthwhile. Like the Dhamma here, this is a treasure, and it is the gift that keeps on giving. So, in this Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who are arahants, with taints destroyed, who have lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached their own goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and are completely liberated through final knowledge. Such bhikkhus are there in this Sangha of bhikkhus. In this Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who have destroyed the 5 lower fetters, are due to reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final nibbana without ever returning to this world. Such bhikkhus are there in this Sangha of bhikkhus. So here it's kind of going through also sort of the stages of enlightenment as well. We have like arahants. We have, I believe, it's once returners here. And then it goes down as well, right? So again, it's establishing that there are people of all different skill levels here. So, yes, in this Sangha, there are bhikkhus who with the destruction of the 3 fetters. Actually, wait. Yep, I'm on the right one. Yes, in this Sangha, there are bhikkhus with the destruction of the 3 lower fetters, with the attenuation of lust, hate, and delusion are once returners, returning once to this world to make an end of suffering. Such are bhikkhus there in this Sangha of bhikkhus. So that's the once returners there. And it's kind of even talking about the fetters here. Now we're on to, I believe, Sotapan? Yeah, in this Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who, with the destruction of the 3 lower fetters, are stream enterers, no longer subject to predation, bound for deliverance, headed for enlightenment. Such bhikkhus are there in the Sangha of bhikkhus. In this Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who abide devoted to the development of the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Such bhikkhus are there in this Sangha of bhikkhus. In this Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who abide devoted to the development of the 4 kinds of right striving, of the 4 spiritual powers, of the 5 faculties, of the 5 powers, of the 7 enlightenment factors, of the Noble Eightfold Path. Such bhikkhus are there in this Sangha of bhikkhus. In this Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who abide devout to the development of loving kindness, of compassion, of altruistic joy, of equanimity, of the meditation on foulness, of perception, of impermanence. Such bhikkhus are there in this Sangha of bhikkhus. In the Sangha of bhikkhus, there are bhikkhus who abide devout to this development of mindfulness of breathing. So, That's sort of the introduction there. And that last little bit is really covering the fact that there are people who are kind of practicing all different kinds of meditations that are kind of towards the Dhamma. But now we're going to come back to like the benefit and the fruit of like Anapanasati, which actually really does encompasses all these other different practices. But like, it's like, hey, this is where we're kind of laying it down. But that was sort of like just an introduction to say, hey, this is an event. There's going to be some really dope knowledge coming up. So now we're getting into this part, mindfulness of breathing. Bhikkhus, one mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated. It is of great fruit and benefit. I'm going to repeat that again. Bhikkhus, when mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it is of great fruit and benefit. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it fulfills the four foundations of mindfulness. When the four foundations of mindfulness are developed and cultivated, they fulfill the seven enlightenment factors. When the seven enlightenment factors are developed and cultivated, they fulfill true knowledge and deliverance. So the point here is Anapanasati can take you all the way. Anapanasati is the complete package, right? And it's of great fruit and benefit. So that's sort of the thing when folks sometimes, I mean, are like, oh, I don't know, is there any benefit to this sort of practice? It's like, no, the Buddha says clearly there is benefit to practicing this. It's a great fruit and benefit. There's like, yeah, is the stuff. Anyway, and bhikkhus. And how, bhikkhus, is mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and benefit? Here, bhikkhus, gone to the forest, to the root of a tree, or an empty hut, sits down. Now, this is a part that's been kind of added, having folded his legs crosswise. Now, this is something that was kind of pointed out with the translation there. So again, it's pretty much talking about getting into seclusion. So I'll kind of go back over, just kind of pointing that out. Here, bhikkhus, having gone to the forest, to the root of a tree, to an empty hut, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, set his body erect, established mindfulness in front of him, ever mindful he breathes in, ever mindful he breathes out. So get into seclusion, and then here we go with the breath. And actually now I believe it is getting into there are 16 steps. Now before I get into the whole thing with there being 16 steps here, that kind of how it's laid out, 16 parts, one of the very helpful things that Dhammarato has pointed out is to view them perhaps a little bit more like dance steps, rather than we have to go in sequential order, starting from beginning in this way because it does line up with the foundations of mindfulness, the satipatthana. So that's another thing. Now, I mean, I've practiced with it kind of both ways. Sometimes it can be helpful to go through it sort of in that way. But yeah, so I'm going to get started here. And yeah, no, it's actually really helpful though. I find like is kind of going through the different skills as well that we can cultivate and maybe spend a little time focusing on. But you can kind of practice multiple of them sometimes in one breath as well. At least that's how I tend to practice. So we'll start with the first one. Breathing in long, he understands I breathe in long. Breathing out long, he understands I breathe out long. Breathing in short, he understands I breathe in short. Breathing out short, he understands I breathe out short. So that's like the first part of that. Just again, with that, there is sati established. One knows they are breathing, right? And the in and out breath here is very helpful because it sort of directs us like, hey, we got to be here now in order to discern, is this an in or an out breath? So this is a really grounding thing to help us get back to being present here and now. And that's how we also can develop these skills. So moving along to the next step here. So there's the breathe out short. Yep. So, and there's the short breath and the long breath. So he trains thus. I breathe in, experiencing the whole body, and then added here is of breath. So it can kind of be taken both ways, the whole body of breath, but also the whole body. He trains thus. I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body of breath. He trains thus. I shall breathe in, tranquilizing bodily formations. He breathes out thus. He trains thus. I breathe out, tranquilizing bodily formations. So there is the first four. I broke it up a little bit here in terms of the paragraph because it kind of like it goes like it covers all of them within this in the first four, and those are all connected with the body, right? So this is like the first foundation of mindfulness, that of the body, right? And so there is the long breaths, there's the short breaths, and there is becoming aware of the whole body, right? So we become aware of the whole body, and then there's relaxing the body. The word used here is tranquilizing. Again, we can use that, but it's pointing towards the calming of the body, right? So these are the first sort of four steps. Now we're going to move on to the second part here, which is the Vedana, the feeling aspect of it. So he trains himself thus. I breathe in, experiencing rapture. He trains himself thus. I breathe out, experiencing rapture. He trains himself thus. I breathe in, experiencing pleasure. He trains himself thus. I breathe out, experiencing pleasure. He trains himself thus. I breathe in, experiencing mental formation. He trains himself thus. I breathe out, experiencing mental formation. He trains himself thus. I breathe in, tranquilizing mental formation. He trains himself thus. I breathe out, tranquilizing mental formation. So I can kind of go back over that there. I decided, hey, it might be better to just read the whole thing. But so this is kind of focused a little bit more on the Vedana. So the experiencing of the rapture, right, the first part, and so this is the fifth, is actually the piti. This is that feeling of joyful success, right? So this is the breathing in and experiencing that feeling of joyful success, of being a winner, right? So this can be really helpful when we're practicing Anapanasati. What I find really helpful to bring this up is just acknowledging this breath. This is successful enough. We're doing something like virtuous here. We're doing something beneficial here. Again, going back to Anapanasati, one practiced and cultivated, one developed, is of great fruit and benefit. So reminding ourselves of that, remembering that when we're practicing, as we breathe in and out, that can help to generate the piti as well. And then if we also are practicing with those first steps, again, just being aware, knowing we're breathing in long and breathing in short, as well as the calming and the relaxing of the body, this really comes together quite marvelously. And sometimes as well, even the short breaths can get us, hyped up as well. So this can be another way to help to bring that about. But again, that feeling of like, yeah, we got it, like that sort of thing, it's really, again, wonderful. And this is a wonderful support, right, is having that piti. So the next is actually experiencing pleasure. And so this is the sukha. This is that feeling actually of satisfaction, of security. Yeah, that feeling of, hey, everything is okay. We're